My name's Roy Sandbach. I have a responsibility with the LEP. Let me go back a step. The LEP here in the Northeast commissioned a report from Andrew Adonis about the economic state of the region, and there were some recommendations that came from that. One of the recommendations was that the LEP should have a look at the innovation ecosystem here in the Northeast. Then they came to me. I'm not very good, but I am pretty cheap, and I was available. So as a direct consequence of that, they said, would you take a look at the innovation ecosystem here in the Northeast and see if you can work with the people that are here to create some kind of strategy which would allow us to engage really, really well with the TSB, with BIS, and indeed as a community to create a sense of regional innovation dynamism that would make us competitive in the world. As Simon said, you know, I spent pretty much all of my career in Procter & Gamble, and most of it was not here in the northeast of England. So I've had the opportunity, and it's been an honor, in fact, to look at innovation happening across the world. And if you take a look at that, it's pretty clear that we'd better be more competitive than we are as a region, as a group of innovators. So I thought this was a pretty decent opportunity for me to get involved in what is, after all, my home region. Now, I'm going to not take much of your time, hopefully, but I'm just going to give you a flavor of the kind of thinking that I'm undertaking. I'm going to ask you for your help. This is not an easy place. This is a complex environment. It has tasks ahead of it which are really quite challenging. However, I just want to build a little bit of credibility. I'm a scientist. I know what that is. That's DNA. Okay? Now, my DNA is one of optimism, which is quite unusual, as I actually come from Sunderland. In fact, I am optimistic. I can predict the future. I can be optimistic on the first day of the season, and at the end of that day, I can predict that I am not optimistic. However, that's my DNA. I am a scientist by training, and I have been involved in innovation right from the sort of creative spaghetti end, which is that kind of unsure, iterative, changing process at the broad end of the innovation funnel, right down to commercialization of new ideas into the marketplace. I just want to build some business credibility. I joined Procter & Gamble in 1981. You can see, actually, that this was here, and I left Procter & Gamble right up here, and I went on holiday here. So I just thought I'd give you this as a direct indicator of my business credibility. So I've sort of tried to give you innovation credibility and business credibility, and now I'm just going to give you some points of view on what I've been learning over the past few weeks in the context of innovation here in the region. And it fits incredibly well with some of the things that you were saying, Stuart. I am not, and never have been, in the business of thinking that innovation was invention. Neither have I been in the business of thinking that innovation was a linear process. However, there are some fundamentals which are overarching, in my opinion, in the way we think about innovation. One of them is that, and this is another definition, but this to me is the best one. There are, by the way, 500,000 definitions of innovation if you type it into the internet. This is, for me, the best one. It matches what's possible with what's needed. It's critically important for there to be a need. I don't give a damn, quite honestly, whether the need is a scientific or technical need. There just has to be a need. Then what happens is that things get pulled through with change and with novelty. That novelty can be the basis for significant financial gain for people in that process. It can be novelty for economic wealth production. And the TSB, frankly, is operating in that space. They happen to be orientating themselves directly to a set of industrial strategies that relate to the country, but that's where they're operating. We as a region need to recognize that we can operate at any point in that space. So matching what's needed to what's possible to create economic value. I'll say one other thing now before I forget it, and that is that there is an openness to innovation. Innovation today has no boundaries because our world today is much easier to access than it ever was before. And it has no boundaries. So if I just go back to that, after economic value, you can have in brackets from anywhere. So although we're a region, we're actually operating in an innovation ecosystem, which is a global innovation ecosystem. So we can be looking for solutions to our needs from outside, or we can be providing solutions for other people's needs. It doesn't really matter, but it's not limited. It's not limited to the UK. It's not, frankly, limited to Europe. It's global. So I just make that point about innovation having no boundaries and that our focus has to be open. And things are changing quite dramatically. It's an interesting thing that people in this room are often in leadership positions. I suspect you're in leadership positions. It is a fact that real innovation is happening in the generation which is one down from us, or two down from us, which is a very interesting thing because we have to engage them. And I'll come back to that in a minute. Right, so what is the regional challenge? I'll touch on 5 regional challenges, all work in progress, all right? But I want you to embrace these questions, dialogue with me on them, and help me to deal with them. You were one of the challenges. I'll come back to that. The development of innovation hubs here in the region is another challenge. We need to be a beacon for the world. I'll come to that. Something on networks, something on open innovation, something on training and support, and at the bottom, money. Okay, I frankly have been learning dramatically the complexity of the funding environment that exists. And in fact, Mark has been teaching me that to a degree. There's, you know, and so has David. That there is a complexity to that. But my view is that innovation is a set of behaviors. It is not a set of funding routes, right? It's behaviors. And I think we can work on that without necessarily having to be narrowly bound by the funding questions. They misdirect us in our innovation thinking. Let me deal with each of these very, very quickly. First of all, you have a challenge. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. And innovation requires a culture to be put in place in organization. You will hear about that today. It's great, this meeting, because you will hear about the way in which culture inside organizations, big or small, can drive through innovation thinking. Please be leaders in this. I'm counting on you. For the region, I'm absolutely counting on you. And that's a personal thing. It's not really an organizational thing. It's a personal thing. So I just make that point right up front. The second thing is that we need as a region to look as if we are entirely capable of providing solutions to problems. Our innovation hubs are a fantastic resource from that point of view. We've got national centres here, catapult centres, one of which is CPI on Teesside. Oh, I should say, I'm looking at the region. I'm not looking at the northeast LEP area. I'm looking at the region. I don't care that there are 2 LEPs. I only care that we're a region. We've got national innovation centres, which we should leverage. Our SMEs should be leveraging those national innovation centres, and I know for a fact that the leaders in those centres want to be leveraged. They want to look inside this region as well as being a national resource. We must utilise them. We've got great universities. I know for a fact that those universities want to be accessible. They may not seem to be accessible today, but I am going to be in the business of trying to make them accessible. We've got some fantastic incubator and development centres, one in Sunderland. And by the way, this is not complete. This is just a sort of snapshot. We've got Net Park just south of Durham. We've got BIC in Sunderland, running at 95% capacity, I understand. And we've got environments which are yet to be created that provide us with the opportunity to take great creativity and turn it into business. Not necessarily high-tech science business. The Institute for Aging, the Campus for Aging at the Old General Hospital in Newcastle has a massive opportunity to provide innovative solutions across a variety of different sectoral activities. We should be doing that. We've got some fantastic innovation agencies and support organisations. RTC North and Newcastle Science City are just two examples of that. And there's commitment to some further cluster work. We've got to get them all working effectively so they're beacons for the region and provide problem solution. Networks are a key. The best regional activities in the world have great networks associated with them. Around MIT and Harvard, fantastic network systems, fantastic club environments almost. Are we a club? Well, we should be. I mean, we're actually a small place, you know? I mean, we could be a club. We've got some great networks in this region. We've got NEPIC, which is the process industry cluster, and we've got Design Network North and BioNow and other networks. They need to be strategically put together. Sometimes, by the way, our innovation network practice is really 19th century. It involves him knowing him and occasionally meeting. Well, that's not 21st century. We've got to do something about that. Maybe we've got to have some kind of real-time network engagement across the region among innovators, a sort of instant messaging process, not email. Forget email, that's old-fashioned. Open innovation, we've got to look outside. I know plenty of people in Fortune 500 companies who've got innovation strategies which are open. Do we engage with them? We do sometimes, but not systematically. We've got to do it systematically and strategically. The LEP can help with that. Trying to pull together some kind of regional engagement with senior innovation vice presidents and leaders in major players. It will allow access for SMEs into them. And we're going to structure the dialogue through the kind of open innovation challenges you'll hear about later on today in the context of open innovation. A hot topic and worthy of consideration by anybody as a business leader. We will provide some leadership in that. Money, it's inherently risky innovation. It takes money, it takes time and people away from their normal job. And so we've got to obviously recognize that we need to de-risk that. There are routes to de-risk that. And frankly, the European funding that Mark was talking about earlier is just one of those opportunity areas. Matching means collaboration. Collaboration between people in this room will be important, between university departments and SMEs, university departments and big players and institutions, very important to getting that funding. We will, as a LEP, try to help on that. And we'll hopefully try to share some of this stuff in language that innovators can understand and not just finance directors. Finally, turning to John's point actually, and it's really interesting that this has been second on my plan, but I've really got to get involved with social innovation. And here, by the way, I'm thinking of getting people like the NHS and people who are in the public domain pulling through innovations from idea through to execution. They're big. They have application opportunities. They have lots of what's needed. We have the opportunity to provide what's possible. There's a fantastic relationship right now between NHS Innovations and RTC North from the point of view of employee-driven innovation. There are fab labs around the place. Just look it up. Some fantastic opportunities in the context of the social inclusion concept in innovation. It's never easy. Roosevelt said, why not get on with it? You might as well get challenged and fail as just live in the grey twilight of mediocrity. And he's absolutely right. We cannot, as a region, be in the grey twilight of mediocrity. We've got to get out of that and get into leading. Give me a hand if you can, okay? I'm very keen as I engage this strategy to get support. I need support. I need examples. I need support. This is not, by the way, fully formed either. It's just where I think the LEP can influence the way in which you do your work. Come to me. I'm here for much of the day. Come to me and have a discussion if you wish to. Thanks very much indeed for your time. I'm sorry.